What's going on, YouTube? This is A Supreme signing on once again. Today is, what's today's date? October the 4th, 2020. I'm out in the woods once again, and today I want to talk about, insecurities. My insecurities, your insecurities. I'm not going to go in depth about my own personal insecurities. I really just want to talk about insecurities in general and how we as people, and even myself, have dealt with them in the past. A lot of times we hide our insecurities under a, what's the word I'm looking for, on a facade, behind a facade. And of course there's many different kinds of insecurities. You could have, insecurities about it being intelligent. You might not think you're very smart. You can have insecurities about, your body. You can have, sexual insecurities. There's all many types of insecurities we can talk about. But a lot of times I've noticed with people, and even myself at times, we hide our insecurities behind a facade of confidence, you know, like false confidence, really. Uh, like, for example, you might see somebody in the streets and, they're driving a super nice car. They're wearing the finest clothes. They're just being excessively loud, and to some degree that might actually be their personality. But more often than not, that person has, they say the loudest person in the room is the weakest person in the room, and it's speaking of emotional weakness. Like they're typically the most insecure, so they feel like they have to puff themselves up to be seen a certain way, to, I guess, be validated or approved of, and, thus validating themselves and filling the void that is supposed to be uh, their confidence, their self-esteem, because it's my belief personally that anytime you need to feel validated, or anytime you need to look a certain way in front of the eyes of other people, um, it's usually due to low self-esteem, because you don't already feel good about yourself. Because when you feel good about yourself, you don't really feel the need to be validated by other people, because you've already approved or validated your own self. And I feel like, when it comes to being confident, I think, like I said, the best way to be confident is to learn how to approve yourself, to validate yourself, to not worry too much about what people think or say about you. And of course, that's easier said than done, and it is a skill that must be developed over time. And by approving of yourself, I mean, you have to understand that you don't have to prove anything to anyone else. It's okay to like a certain thing just because you like it, or like just because you enjoy it. It's okay to it's okay to be imperfect. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to even look stupid in front of other people, as long as it's not detrimental to yourself. Now, I understand that we live in a society where we must conduct ourselves a certain way, not only to be accepted in certain environments, as far as work, as far as, certain social circles, that our livelihood is contingent upon, but outside of the necessity that comes with having to fit in certain environments. Outside of that, I mean, you really just have to learn how to be yourself. You have to really learn how to be okay with who you are. And anything you feel insecure about, or anything you feel like it's a flaw, just work to fix it. Now, of course, these things are easier said than done. And as I said before, you have to, it comes with time. It's work. A friend of mine told me that happiness is not something you reach. It's not a destination. It's a process in which you have to practice it every single day. It doesn't just it just does you just go boom, I'm confident, or boom, I'm enlightened. No, confidence, happiness, and enlightenment, these are things that have to be practiced every day. You have to constantly remind yourself that, you don't need the approval of others. You have to constantly remind yourself that it's okay to be you. You know, it's we get so caught up in the social media. We get so caught up in trying to, especially young people, trying to emulate something we see on TV, or emulate, or trying to keep up with the Joneses in general. A lot of people have put themselves into debt, trying to appear a certain way, trying to have the fastest or nicest car, trying to have, the house, what I'm saying, when they could have just downsized and had, a simple life, a simple car, and they probably would have been a lot happier because they wouldn't have had the added on responsibilities or the added on stress of trying to maintain appearances, you know. Again, I'm not saying this is not necessary at certain times. Yes, professionally it might be necessary, and in some cases it might be necessary for your own safety. There are certain thoughts and opinions you may not be able to express among a certain crowd because you might lose your job or you might be physically harmed. You know, Especially nowadays with all this crap going on with you know social justice warriors, the protesters. I'm not gonna say anything else. I think maybe Antifa. You know what I'm saying? With everything that is going on now, with people resorting to violence to get people to see things the way they want them to see it, or to at least pretend to, in order to accept their point of view. You know, it's okay to have your own point of view, and it's okay to understand that your point of view doesn't always have to be expressed. That's another thing that goes along with insecurities. A lot of times people feel like they have to, you know, I don't know if they're proving it to themselves or other people by expressing all their opinions. It's okay to keep certain things to yourself. You don't have to, prove anything to anybody, is my point. And that's basically the thought I wanted to get off my chest. Um, just a quick one. I never do long videos. Um, that's about it. Again, it's October the 4th, 2020. I'm out in the woods once again. Y'all have a nice night. Ace out.